Hi. So today I wanted to show you how to create some different techniques for creating shading. Um, and one of the techniques is called linear, um, and it is, and also there's a hatching and cross-hatching technique that I'm going to be showing you. These are ways to create texture and value and the illusion of form and light. Typically, these techniques are used when the medium of linear in nature, you see cross-hatching and hatching. These are different things that you might see used together. Both of the techniques they work well with each other in a variety of different types of drawing mediums. So I have just a regular pencil. I have some graphite pencils around here someplace. But I also have, I have an ink pen, and I have a marker, and I have some ink brushes to use to kind of show you some different things that you can do with this technique. I believe you can also use this for printmaking and etching and engraving. Um, and ink is a big thing with the comic strip artists, um, things like that. So the first technique I'd like to show you is using a hatching and cross-hatching in drawing. So here we go. So let me show you something. But what I've done right now, I got to push my paper to where you can actually see it though. So let me see where do I need to go, because we can see what I'm drawing right here. So if you can see, so I push it down a little bit, maybe that's a little bit better. So you can use like your graphite pencil, and you want, one of the techniques is called linear, which is L-I-N-E-A-R, linear. And it's just a really simple technique where you want to pull back on your grip to loosen your grip. And the marks just go up and down like this. Now, if I were to use my pen, I think my pen works better for you to see. See that? I don't know if you can see that. If I come closer right here. There we go. Okay. And let me try some. This is a Koh-i-Noor. There's any ink in this. The trick is when you want the values to start to get darker, all you do is you take the lines and you group them closer to each other. You can see that. And that's going to give you the idea of a deeper value. Just grab, here's just like a pencil, so you can see that. Another technique is called cross-hatching, and cross-hatching is similar to linear in that you create the hatch marks, but then you'll cross them, right? If you can see, you can go like that. You can maybe see my light. Adjust my light a little bit. It makes a difference. It's a very quick kind of mark. Now, if the form that you were drawing on is that you wanted to create kind of, if you wanted to say it was like a cylinder, let me see where I can draw that you can actually see just the trick. So let's see, I'm gonna draw a cylinder shape. Okay, and you know that your eye is going to curve. So you want to create the hatching, but you want it to curve around the form. And that is going to inform your eye that the form is curving. Because you know we're drawing on a two-dimensional surface. It has height and it has width, right? But it's flat. And it basically, for all purposes, it has no depth, right? So we want to create the illusion of a three-dimensional world, which has height, it has width, and it also has depth. And so you want to learn to just carry the eye. So you can see that the marks are, and if I wanted to make the marks darker, all right. So another technique is called stippling, or if you've heard of George Seurat and pointillism, where you use just, can you see the little dots? He actually would use paint, but he was a really gifted draftsman. He could draw beautiful. He created really beautiful drawings with this technique. This is called stippling. And all I would do is, the trick is when you want to create a darker value, then you just have to not have as much white space between the marks that you're making, whatever those marks you're making. You see that? So another technique is called scrumbling, and I like it. It's my favorite, and it's just kind of it's just a scribbly technique. And it's the same thing where the more white space that you see, the lighter the value. But if you wanted it to appear darker, then you would just go over it more, right? And have less white space. And one other technique I want to show you is called tonal. And tonal technique, let's see, where could you see? Can you see right here? So tonal technique is interesting. That's my favorite. It's easy. So what tonal is you want to pull back on your pencil or whatever you're using to make your marks. And you just, the lighter the value is, then the less marks you're going to make. And then you take your finger and you just smudge it, right? But say you want to get darker, then you're just going to have more graphite, okay? So what I created right here, I don't know if you can see, but I created what I call them value scales. And I want you to do that in your sketchbook. And soon we'll start drawing, and I'm going to ask you to get used to the habit of creating value scales, real small ones, not very big. You put it in the corner of your drawing. So in this one, I'm going to break it up. So I'm going to find a middle and create like some boxes, right? And just divide it up. So there's my middle. That's going to represent my middle value. And then I'm going to have a value on one end, a value on the other end, and then split this one up and this one up. And that's going to give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. It's going to give me 7 values. Okay. So to create the value scale, so the light is going to hit an object, and when the light hits the object, you have the reflective light, right? And in the reflective light, it's white. So on the first box represents that reflective light. It represents the lightest light. And then the last box is going to be your blackest black. Okay? And then in between are the values that's going to form in between. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip the first box and I'm going to go to the second. I think I'm going to do tonal for the first one. So it's just a light little mark, right? That's actually pretty dark. And then the next one needs to be deeper. So just kind of go over it a couple times. I mean, depending on how perfect you are, maybe, but you want to be able to see almost like a step difference. So this means the next one needs to be deeper. And just kind of pull back, and go over it. And you should be able to see like that it's getting darker and darker and darker. I think I could have went like a shade lighter, but okay. That one, just going over it again. This one's going to go a little bit heavier. Okay. And the last one is the blackest black, where no light can get into. Let me go over that one and make it a little bit darker. But basically, it's like the less white you have, and remember it's tonal, so it's just a soft kind of mark. And I don't know if you can see that, but if I pull it up like that, maybe you can see it. Okay, so the next one is linear, and I think I'm going to use my pen. Just got these pens. And again, well, let me divide it up first. So I'll have the middle, right? That's the mid range will be in the middle of my value strip. And I just use my ruler to create my value strips. And then the ends will be, the first one will be my white, my lightest whites, representing the end will be my darkest dark. And then I'm just going to divide this up. You could have more if you wanted. Actually, that one's kind of funky. But anyway, so this is linear. So remember, with linear, it's just one line going one direction. So whatever direction you decide. And I think that, I'll do it like that, okay? But then the next lines that I make are going to be closer. Okay? And then the next one will be even closer. And what that represents is less white space is seen. And because less white space is seen, then it's perceived as darker. Keep going. I want you to make these value scales in your sketchbook for every, so I want you to do one of, I'll give you the directions. I'll give you the directions on your module, but for each of the examples that I showed you, I want you to use it. So this one's going to be much closer. Like I said, you should be able to see step difference. I don't draw with this as much, but it is fun using the pens to draw with. I think some people are really perfect at this, which is impressive. So that's darker. And then the last one is the darkest dark. So you really don't want to see that white space between it. So I'm going to have to go over it a couple times. I wish my pen was black instead of blue. So it would take a couple times, but you kind of get it, right? And then the next one, it's right over here. I'm going to do a cross hatching. I'm going to use the pin again because it's, I don't know, it's kind of fun. The first one is my whitest white. I don't put any marks in it. The last one will be the darkest dark. And I'll divide it up to 7 again. Okay. So the cross hatching. So it doesn't, I think when you cross over, so first thing you're going to do, you're going to create those marks. All right, and then you're going to cross it. So I could slightly angle it, or I can really do whatever I want, but I think I need a new pin. Okay, so that's my first one. So the deal is, I'm going to need to make my first marks closer. Okay. And then my second marks. And I can see a difference. And then again, the trick is to make your first hatch marks closer. And then your hatch marks. Again. Again. And closer. It's great for texture. One last time for my black is black. So that first hatch mark that you make, it should, you know, it's pretty deep already. Remember, the less white space that you have. Okay. And then I'm going to cross hatch it to look at it, what I'm doing. Can't tell if it's my pen. It might be that my pen is getting, so anyways, you can kind of see it. It's getting darker and darker. So I did a couple of them, and I want you to do, so that was cross hatching. Leonardo da Vinci has a lot of examples if you want to look up his work. But the PowerPoint, I'm sending a PowerPoint in our module this week. So the PowerPoint is going to give you lots of different examples. This one's linear. This one's tonal. And this one here is stippling. This was scrumbling. There's some different techniques. Another thing I want you to be playing with this week is I'd like you to pull out your inks. So I have some ink ready. And you can see that right there. So keep it, if I keep it right here. So I have these like little ink wells, and I put water in first. I have like a really kind of nice little tool here. I don't know if you can see it. This little tool to like little dropper. And I chose how much water I'm going to put in. And then I also chose how much ink I would drop in to kind of control my medium. So I wanted to show you a few techniques. And I have my, I have these bamboo brushes that I wanted to use today. So the thing about the bamboo brushes is you don't want to completely submerge your brush into the ink. You don't want it to come all the way up to the top of the bristle because you can't get it out and it messes the bristle up. But I'd like you to get your ink out also. It's fun, kind of, right? And I want you to try this out and see if you can see how close would I need to get for you to see what I'm doing. Here. Let's see if I pull back. It's interesting. So if you hold the brush upright like this, it's a great way to kind of create a delicacy in your mark making. I've made a couple videos, I just don't know if they're good enough to show everyone. So I just keep trying. So hopefully this one will be halfway decent for all of you. I want you to play with your medium, right? Play with this, play with your inks and your pens. Next week we're going to start, I mean, I think we've been pretty busy, but we're going to get busier by next week. And when that happens, I don't want anyone to become overstressed. I actually want you to work hard, but I don't want you to be overstressed. I just want you to be excited about what we're doing and what we're learning. But I sent someone an email because they were asking, sometimes I will give you projects, but there's no points, right? You don't have to hand anything in. But you have to understand that sometimes there's a reason for that, and is that I'm trying to, I'm giving you so many different examples that I don't always think you need to get a grade for it. You just do it. And I know that's hard because we've been trained to get grades for everything, but you do it because you're trying to get better. You're in this course, you're in this course because you are developing your craft, you want your practice, you want to be stronger as an artist. You need this class to go on to the next class, all those kind of things. But I'm hoping that, normally we would have spent almost 6 hours a week together working in the studio together, but we can't do that because of COVID. So the next best thing is for me to try and stimulate you with different techniques in drawing. And I go back and forth because I think, well, am I giving them too much work? Or, of course, this week's a little bit lighter. But I didn't add this part to it because I was trying to figure out how to put it into your module. So what I'm doing with my ink, I mean, this is can I show you what kind of ink it is, I think? So I have right here, this is just Higgins Pin India ink, but I also have, this is called Blick's Black Cat Waterproof India ink. And I also have a bunch of colored inks, which are so fun. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know, you probably couldn't see the things I'm trying to show you. I'm so sorry. Let me pull up a little bit. So these are really, I bought these, I think, at Dick Blick online. So I have a couple I've actually got 2 boxes of these, which I'm kind of excited to use. I don't think I showed it to you, but this is the ink that I have. It's a big giant bottle of it. And I have the small bottle. So you have to let it dry, the ink, because if you, so that when I just put a drip in it, you see it starts, it's called bleeding, it'll start bleeding. So you want to let it dry first before you, once you, and one thing, if you do use your inks, there's, what you want to do is maybe something you'll draw in one spot, and then you go someplace else and draw in another spot, and that'll give it time to dry. But the ink is really fun, and the brushes are fun too, using the bamboo brushes. Just different ways to make marks, different ways to create texture. Cool. I also want to show you, I have some different types of brushes to also use. It's a beautiful brush. I don't know if you can see this. And the paper I'm using, I'm actually using it's a little bit thicker paper. Some different brushes that I have, lots of brushes. You can get the bamboo brushes also smaller. Let me see. You can use regular brushes. I use regular brushes also. Those are fun. Let's see if I can. So you have like a finer tip. So. Okay. All right, that's it for this demo. Hopefully, as I figure things out, I'll be able to give you more demos. Have a great day. Bye, guys.